it's Gamer Ahmer here. So today, the time has finally come. We are doing this 2020 Game Room Tour video. So I am so excited to share all of the progress with you guys. This is the first tour in my brand new house, and I am so thrilled to share everything with you. So you may have seen in some previous Game Room Tour videos, my collection of games. Well, this is beyond crazy. So I have over 6,000 video games, over 250 different consoles, over 14 video game kiosks. I have arcade machines, standees, store displays, neon signs, and anything else related to gaming. So let's go ahead and check it out. So this game room is actually in my basement in the new house. It's a pretty large size basement. So when you first come down the steps, you actually see this whole wall right here. So this is actually one of my favorite walls in the game room. So you'll notice that we have tons of kiosks and games featured all on this wall. We have this Nintendo Switch kiosk. It is incomplete as I'm trying to find an actual TV and TV mount for this kiosk, but it is fully functional with all the lights and cords that are included. We also have this neon sign above the Nintendo Switch kiosk, which does light up. You'll notice that we also have some amiibos in here as well. Now, most of my amiibos are actually packed away still as I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna run them along the game room. I was thinking about putting them along the top part of the game room and just kind of have them go all the way around the entire room. And then this next section, you'll notice that we have this Wii U kiosk with a couple box games at the top there. This is fully functional. I did get this at GameStop along with the Switch kiosk, and this one has my Nintendo Wii ready to go and playable in this kiosk. I do actually have some storage in the bottom part of this kiosk. So this corner is one of my favorites. We have this whole section of video games. As before in some of my previous game rooms, you'll notice that I didn't have an extensive wall of my games. I actually had a lot of them packed and stored away. So here you'll notice that we have this PlayStation 2 neon sign. This was a legit store display from back in the day. I have the original shipping box too. And then you'll notice that we have tons of games on this display. So this shelf I actually got from Amazon. It was around $200 to $206. And we have tons of PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3. We have some Xbox and Xbox 360 games spread all across this display right here. So I have tons of these larger style gun games over here. So these are the light gun style games. I have some other games up at the top here that are the larger big box and steelbook style games, and a lot of these are actually still sealed. Now I do have an open copy somewhere else in the game collection, but I wanted to have these boxes on display because I really think that it helps tie in this whole section of games right here. And then we have this little Nintendo corner over here. So you'll notice that I do have this Vans Nintendo store display. So I actually got this from a Vans store back when they had the crossover with Nintendo, and they did that whole line of Vans tennis shoes that were pretty awesome. So I was able to take that store display home with me. I figured I'd hang it up right here, and maybe eventually I'll get a little projection screen with a little projector to go ahead and play some games above this section over here. So also over here we have this main attraction. This is my Nintendo Sharp television, and this thing is just so awesome. It has a built-in Nintendo player where you can just stick the cartridge right into the television. You don't even have to worry about hooking up the television. It's just all ready to go. So I was really excited when I scored this. This is actually what got me into collecting a lot of the kiosks and store displays. So this is one of the very first things that I started collecting that was a little bit more money at the time. And then of course we have tons of these little drawers right here. So I have 4 of them with Nintendo games. I have a couple loose games over there for easy access when I just want to plug and play whichever game I'm interested in at the time. And then we have these cart holders right here. It says Nintendo 64, but they actually hold all of my Super Nintendo games. And then on top here we have this huge Earthbound box for the Super Nintendo. This is one of my holy grails over here in this little Nintendo corner. This actually came with the big guide, and this is the large box, and everything's complete and pretty mint on the inside. Then of course we have some of my expensive titles up here. We have Hagane, we have Pocky and Rocky, Sonic Blast Man 2, Sunset Riders, and then this one is pretty awesome. This is my Earth Defense Force, and on the back it actually says property of Microprose Cartridge Division. So they actually developed a lot of these video game carts back in the day, so I had to display that up here. And then over top of this NES Sharp TV, we have this little standee which says the classic series for the classic Nintendo games on Game Boy Advance, which is the SP. It actually makes some noise, so it's pretty sweet. And then we have this World of Nintendo display. So this is the original World of Nintendo little display. On the back side it does have a Nintendo 64. That's an older style Mario doll. And then we have, of course, Rob the Robot. I do have him in the Famicom version as well. Then we have this Virtual Boy system. I have a stack of games with it. And then the Power Glove and this Power Pad at the bottom here. And then over here, we actually have some more Nintendo goodies. We have this Rollin' Rocker, some more NES games. Behind there, I have tons of fight sticks and other Nintendo quick shot controllers, and these pretty awesome Nintendo cabinets with these televisions on top. So I mostly keep a lot of the spare games over here, and ones I just don't have a spot to display just yet. So we have that Prison TV and the Samsung GX TV, which does open up and reveal speakers on each side. So it's pretty awesome for gameplay. And then on to this section right here. So in this closet, I have all of my video game boxes and just a lot of items that I couldn't actually display in the room just yet. So hopefully I'll be able to bring some more of this stuff out of the closet. Then I have these 2 DDR Dance Dance Revolution metal dance mats. So I had to put them here as they're easy to just pull out, hook up to any system, and just play whenever I want to. And then we have this little section right here. So this is a complete shelf of all of my Nintendo Wii games. So a lot of these are actually some of my favorites for the system. We have tons of Mario style games, Donkey Kong, and tons of light gun games in this pile right here. So don't forget to check out that light gun video that I did for the Nintendo Wii, as I have some of my absolute favorite games for this system featured in that video. And then on to this section of the game room. So this is where I actually have a couple IKEA Billy bookcases, and I have them jam-packed full of tons of collector's edition items, mostly statues, and just some themed areas on the shelf with some video games mixed in along the way. So this may actually look familiar to some of you guys, as this is the main wall where I just set up a little table and I do my unboxing videos, my pickup videos, and just some of my other videos right with this behind it. So this is actually one of my favorites. So you'll actually see tons of items spread out all over the shelves. So I'm not going to go into full detail on each of the shelves, but I will get a close-up shot for you guys. So at the top here we have most of my collector's edition statues. So of course we have some notable ones. We have God of War, we have Nathan Drake for Uncharted, we have some Gears of War, along with some prints, and a lot of these are actually limited edition ones that I got from those Zobi Gamer boxes. Then if we drop it down, you'll notice that I have some Assassin's Creed, and I actually have tons of those collector's editions with some Assassin's Creed lithographs and prints in the back right there. This is actually one of my favorite shelves. So this is mostly BioShock figures along with this BioShock collector's edition statue. I couldn't keep it boxed up, I had to open it up, but you'll notice that we have these BioShock 2 figures, and it's a near complete set of these figures, some of them being Toys R Us exclusives and Comic-Con exclusives right there. And then we have one of my favorites. We have this light gun shelf. So I do really enjoy my light gun games. I had to add a full section where I have some various system boxes mixed in. You'll notice that I have a couple of the Mass Effect and actual Plants vs. Zombies where it has that Mass Effect look. Some Call of Duty. We actually have another signed print right there. We have some Fallout merchandise with the collector's edition and some statues. And then over on this side, we actually start up at the top. We have this Resident Evil shelf. So this is actually where I have some of these pretty awesome Resident Evil controllers. I have one for the GameCube and one for the PlayStation 2. I do have the original box, but it wouldn't fit for the top one, so I just stored it in the closet. I have this pretty awesome zombie cop for Resident Evil figures. Those do actually cost a lot of money to collect the entire set, as they are a favorite among fans. We have this collector's edition statue, and I'm hoping to get more as soon as they do some more of the remakes, so that would be pretty awesome to add to that shelf. We have tons of my Sega Saturn games on the shelf. Some of my favorites are, of course, Sonic. We have Resident Evil, tons of light gun games for the Sega Saturn, tons of Sonic merchandise. So I have Sonic the Hedgehog for the Sonic Adventure 2 battle. We also have Shadow. We have some more Sonic figures, Knuckles, just some pretty cool sculptures, tons of Sega Saturn and Sega CD games. So of course we have Tomb Raider, we have Sonic CD, 3 Dirty Dwarfs, and just tons of other pretty awesome games. And then of course we have this whole shelf below dedicated to Lara Croft and Tomb Raider. These are some of those vintage figures, tons of Street Fighter items. I've actually done some videos on some of these collector's editions and these pretty awesome controllers, as I do have the full set of those right there. We have a mixture of tons of Nintendo characters. So of course we have Link in the corner with a limited edition Link print for The Legend of Zelda. We have a copy of Smash Brothers in the back. We have some more Zelda characters up there. And then we even have that Mario Rabbids character. And then this little section, I have tons of Star Fox items. I have this certificate of authenticity for Star Fox Zero. This was a limited edition, hand-numbered statue. I have an autographed item in the back as well. A lot of these were from Zobi Productions boxes. We have this Starlink item up here, and of course I had to get the Nintendo version where it has Star Fox. We have that Star Fox Adventure Survival Kit. We have a mixture of these scary games. So of course we have all of the Dark Souls games. We have all of these collector's edition statues, these Virtua Fighter 4 figures, and these are of course Sega related. So I have the whole set, including some of the prototype figures as well. We have this Conker's Bad Fur Day press kit. This thing is crazy expensive now. This was actually given out to a lot of the store owners to help prep and pre-order tons of these Conker's Bad Fur Day games. We have the Super Mario 64 and Wave Race 64 games. These are for Singapore, Malaysia, and Indonesia only. This Ni no Kuni 2 collector's edition statue with the little plush that came with it, and some of these Kingdom Hearts characters. Then at the bottom, we have a whole shelf dedicated to mostly Crash Bandicoot and Spyro, with a little bit of Overwatch in the corner. So we even have this signed Funko Pop. And then on to this corner over here. This is actually a recent addition. So I had this Xbox 360 kiosk, but it was pretty much gutted. I recently added the television, this console cover, and these LED lights to make this kiosk fully functional. So I was pretty excited about that. We even have this pretty awesome replica Gears of War Lancer. So this is a full-size display Lancer, and this thing is just so awesome. It even comes with a light to make this thing light up, and it does have some actual lights on here as well. So this is definitely a really cool item, and I'm really excited to have it in the collection. And then on to this wall right here. So this is the ultimate console wall. So I actually have about 75 consoles displayed all across this wall. Now of course that's only a fraction of the consoles that I actually own, but I can actually expand on these shelves. I got them from IKEA. These are the Kallax shelving units. This one holds about 25, but if you actually double them up, which they actually make these little inserts, so you can actually go ahead and stack more than one console in these displays. So over time, I will probably add each of those shelf dividers into these shelving units so that I can go ahead and utilize all of the space. I actually plan on adding some pretty awesome LED lighting strips, or maybe even some lights in each of these actual cubby units, so that I can actually get a better display on the consoles themselves. But for now, I do have this pretty awesome Nintendo 64 store display sign at the top here. I wanted to display some of my favorite box art boxes on the top there, so you'll notice that I have mostly Nintendo in this section, as this is the ultimate Nintendo 64 display, where I have all of these different variants. This is a worldwide set of variants right here. So you'll notice that we have the fantastic colors at the top and right there. So of course we have all of the American variants. We have these Japanese fantastic color variants on the bottom here, where they actually have the two-tone colors. We have the Daiei Hawks, which is a sports team over in Japan. The Justco version, which is another difficult one to find. Then you'll notice that we have tons across here which are actually Pokemon related. So we have this Pikachu one. This is the American version. We have these other colors, the orange and the light blue, which are Japanese variants. We have the Hyundai Convoy, which is the Korean variant N64, the ANA Special Airlines console. We even have this gold, this regular charcoal color with the DD drive, this pretty awesome Fox Data Chrome series. This is the complete set right there with the matching controllers. Then we have this Pokemon Stadium style console, and that one is actually Australian. And we even have a custom wood style Nintendo 64 system, and then some GameCube ones across the bottom with the NR reader, which is a pretty awesome development item for the Nintendo GameCube. And then if we move on to this middle section right here, I decided to have a lower shelf so that I could display a pretty awesome TV setup on this display. So this television is currently a 55-inch television, Samsung TV. I'm actually going to upgrade and get something much larger for this section right here and put this one somewhere else in the house. So this is where I have my Nintendo Switch. I even have my Xbox One, various Xbox 360 consoles. I have some regular Xboxes, my Neo Geo, and some various Panasonic 3DO systems on this section. And then this last section on this main wall over here, of course, on display, I had to put this Sega Sonic the Hedgehog sign. This thing I was looking for the longest time, and I was so happy to score this and add it to the video game collection, as this really adds a lot to the room. And this is where I display a lot of the Sega consoles up top here. So you'll notice that I actually picked some of my favorite box styles up here. Of course, I have the original Sega Genesis with Sonic the Hedgehog right on the front of the box. I have a Mega Drive system, a Dreamcast box, and that's the sports variant. And then we have this Ratchet and Clank box with the Toys Blue special variant limited edition console, and that was a Japanese exclusive only. And then of course we have this Halo original Xbox display box with Halo 2. So those ones were pretty iconic for the system, so I had to have those displayed up at the top. And then of course we have various Sega consoles, Genesis, Dreamcast, Sega Saturn. We even have a PlayStation 3 over there, along with various PlayStation 1s, PlayStation 2s. And then we have this PS4 Uncharted Nathan Drake version, Intellivision, Atari Jaguar, TurboGrafx 16, various Nintendo Wii consoles. We have Famicom, NES, Super Nintendo, and Super Famicom, along with some others. Then of course at the bottom here is where I have these little cubbies where I put various controllers that I didn't have enough room for on this whole display wall. So this is my retro corner in the game room. So I had to do something that showed my appreciation and love for some of these older computers and older style consoles. So of course in this corner I started with hanging up this Magnavox Odyssey store display. So this is probably the oldest display that I actually have in my video game room, and this is the very first home console system that actually started video games. So this one I actually found local at a pretty awesome vintage store. So this was actually displayed in a lot of stores back in the day where they sold Magnavox appliances. So of course you'll recognize this. This is actually the art styling of the Magnavox Odyssey 2. So I decided to put this in this little retro corner and really have it on display and have it for my appreciation towards these older consoles, because I really love how it shaped consoles today and games today. So this is where I wanted to have a little retro corner where I could hook up any of these consoles and computers without any issues and have everything ready to go whenever I wanted to play them. So of course over here we have this whole shelf. I had to have something that was pretty durable, so I got one of these wire racks. And of course you'll see we have this Atari factory reconditioned box at the top here. We have this Commodore, and this is the SX64. This is a pretty awesome, it says executive computer. So this was one of those luggable, or one of the first laptop style computers where you could go ahead and carry it around with you. It doesn't weigh too much, and it has a small screen built in, so you could play your Commodore 64 games on it. I have some various Pong clone style games on here, tons of these Apple style printers, the Commodore 64, Atari style computers, and just everything else on here. We have the Coleco Atom computer at the bottom there. So I do have tons of computer style systems. I have some more Pong clones, this video arcade, this pretty awesome Fairchild Channel F system with this Emerson television. We have the ColecoVision down there, and tons of cords and wires that I need to hook up to play a lot of these systems. And then in this little section, we have some of these pretty awesome Rampage figures that I really like on display. We have this older style Donkey Kong Bank with some Game & Watch systems over here. We have this Apple II computer, which I actually have to change out a couple parts in here to make it operable again, but it shouldn't be too difficult as I already have the parts and I just have to add them in. And then we have this Radio Shack TRS-80, so this is another newer addition to the game room, and I really like playing on this system. We have, of course, some games over here, some of the floppy disk style games, and some Commodore 64 games. This original Magnavox Odyssey complete in the box, and of course my Vectrex system is on the ground. We also have this Magnavox Odyssey, and that is the shooting gallery shotgun for the system. And then this shelf right here, this is another IKEA Billy bookcase. I have tons of games jam-packed on this shelf, and a lot of these I decided to go ahead and display on the shelf. So at the top we have tons of Intellivision games, couple on display. We have the Game & Watch system with this Atari Joust game for the Atari 2600, that pretty awesome limited edition snow globe. It came out just a few years ago. We have another shelf full of mostly Intellivision games with some Atari games mixed in, some more Game & Watch systems, and then on this shelf right here we have all of my loose Atari 2600 games just stacked and lined on the back part of this whole shelf. We have some of the highlights here. We have these Mystique games, so these are actually still sealed. And then I have various playable versions of the game. So we have Beat 'em and Eat 'em, we have Bachelor Party, and Custer's Revenge. And then we drop down to this shelf where I have a lot of my long box Panasonic 3DO style games. I do have various games that aren't in the long box. So here we have Plumbers Don't Wear Ties, we have PO'd, Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Doom, and just some other games right here that I mostly enjoy playing. We have this Oregon Trail handheld that was released several years later, actually a couple years ago at Target. We have this Atari Kids controller with some Sesame Street games, and then of course that one on display. We have this Smurfs game, it says Smurfs Save the Day. This is a Coleco game, and we have all of these Sound Story cassettes for the game right there. Then we have tons of Neo Geo games, the AES style versions of the games. We have some of these pretty awesome Japanese Wonder Swans and Neo Geo Pocket Color systems. And then a lot of my Vectrex style games with this pretty awesome 3D headset, and tons of games that I really enjoy playing, like Vector Patrol, Vector Pilot, and Vectrexian. And then we have some more games right here. We have these Magnavox Odyssey 2 games. Most of the games are behind the ones featured on this shelf. I do have the big box versions of these Odyssey 2 games. We have some Atari Jaguar games there, like Battlesphere, and some of the others that are very difficult to find and worth a little bit more money. We even have this Turbo Express handheld with tons of Turbo Graphics games. Atari Lynx style games. We have Coleco Adam. We have the Fairchild Channel F style game and Super Pong for the Atari. And then over here we have this pretty awesome Sega Genesis style Walmart display cabinet that was actually used in stores back in the day to go ahead and promote these Sega Genesis style games in these pretty awesome front displays. And then if you liked the game that was displayed in this new release section, you would just ask an employee, they would open up this large cabinet, and there would be tons of back stock in here. So I actually use this for a lot of storage, where I actually display a lot of my Sega Master System games in the front part here. I do have this Magnavox Odyssey 2 box display up here, along with some Sega items on the back. And then, of course, on the inside we have tons of Sega Master System games, Sega Genesis games. I have my Sega Game Gear games with the system, Sega Nomad, and just tons of handheld games in here. And then I have my Sega 32X games and more Atari Jaguar games and tons of Japanese Sega Saturn and Sega Dreamcast games, and then tons of boxed items that I just didn't have a spot for in the rest of the game room. So mostly my Game Boy boxes and Game Boys and other handhelds and controllers are actually stored on the bottom shelves in here. But of course I have tons of favorites in here like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Hyperstone Heist. We have a lot of these Rocket Knight Adventures, Musha, Alien Storm, Herzog's Wii. We have Sonic the Hedgehog, Wonder Boy, and just tons of other style games in here. A lot of fighting style, a lot of just really great games that I loved playing growing up. And then on to this area of the game room. This is the last area in the main area of where I have most of my consoles and games at. And then of course right behind me is the entranceway to the arcade. So right here I had to do something with Nintendo. So I put this double-sided Nintendo sign right at the top. I went ahead and displayed the side that actually has a neon. This is actually from the 80s, from the release of the Nintendo Entertainment System. So this would have been used back in the day in stores to go ahead and help promote the NES. And then of course below we had to add this Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. And this is actually a scene from the game, and it's signed by Mike Tyson himself. So this is authenticated as well. It says Mike Tyson Punch-Out, Nintendo 1987. We have a copy of the game right here. It is complete in the box with the letter from Mike Tyson. Then we have this cool little Gotcha the Sport burst. So they actually made these little guns back in the day. So in here I decided to put some of my Nintendo games, some Super Nintendo, Nintendo 64. So right here we have this Mega Man 9, and this is actually still sealed, so this one actually is something that brings quite a bit of money. And then we have this pretty awesome hard shell case Nintendo game for the Super Nintendo. And then of course at the bottom we have tons of Game Boy Color and Game Boy Pocket and original Game Boys locked away in this pretty awesome display that I scored from GameStop. And finally, one of my favorite areas in the new game room. So this room, I immediately fell in love with it when I saw it, and I knew it was destined to be my little arcade where I would have some arcade machines and most of my video game kiosks. So this room is jam-packed with a lot of fun, and a lot of these items are just so cool, and I never thought that I would have quite the collection that I do now. So we'll start out with this large arcade machine. Now unfortunately this is the only one that actually made it inside of the basement, as when I took this one down the steps it actually cracked the monitor. So I am looking for a replacement, and everything else works on it. So when you plug it in, it still has the whole carnival feel with it, and it still has all the sounds and everything. So as soon as I get a little monitor that'll fit right in here. There are 3 other arcade machines that I do have in my garage. So of course I do have Nicktoons Racing, which is currently not working. I'm not sure if something went loose during the move. Then we have Crisis Zone with the machine gun and foot pedal action. Now that arcade is just too large to even bother with bringing it into the house. So I figured I'd just keep it in the garage, and maybe that will turn into another little game room. So hopefully I'll be able to get some pretty cool setup in there so that you guys can see what I'm gonna do with the garage. And then of course we have the Virtua Cop 2 arcade machine, which technically could fit in here, as I did have the doors widened and it should be able to fit in here. So fingers crossed I'll be able to get that in here within the upcoming months. I just wanted to wait until things got a little bit warmer outside. That way we don't rush and have the monitor break just like my Carnival machine. So of course in this room I have it jam-packed with tons of video game kiosks, video game displays, just signs, standees, some of the larger ones and some of the countertop sized standees. So I am just so excited to share this room with you guys, as it is jam-packed with tons of fun, and some of these items I just never thought I'd be able to find. So because the GameCube kiosk is here, I had to put tons of my countertop standees and displays, and even this larger standee that are all GameCube related. I even hung up that Mario Kart Double Dash banner, and I have all of my GameCube games, which is a smaller collection in my video game room. You'll notice that I do have some of my Wii U games and some of my Nintendo Switch games. And then this little corner right here, I decided to put this large Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battle standee right in the corner here. Of course, we have a couple of these arcade machines for a little bit of arcade action. So I have this arcade 1-up machine. Now this is the second one in my collection. As you did see earlier, I had the one with Galaga, Galaxian, and Pac-Man. And then this one is the Asteroids Deluxe arcade machine that features 6 games. So this is a lot of fun to play, especially in the arcade. Then we have this Game Room Classics arcade machine. This is a 2-player. You can go ahead and battle against someone. So this is the SNK Neo Geo arcade machine that features 6 classics on this machine. In this little section, we have this PlayStation 1 kiosk, which definitely brings back a lot of memories, as I really played a lot of PlayStation 1 growing up. And this is a pretty sweet kiosk. Then we have this Game Boy Color kiosk right there in the middle. So that is definitely awesome, as you don't see too many of those handheld kiosks anymore, especially this Game Boy Color one. This one was a little bit more challenging to find. And then this final section in the room. So these kiosks are some of my favorites in the whole entire collection. I'm really a big fan of the Sega Dreamcast, and to find 2 kiosks to add to this game room is just beyond insane. So here you can have people over, they can take their pick and play one or the other. This one currently has Crazy Taxi in it. This one has a fighting game. So it's definitely a lot of fun to play, and I really enjoy playing a lot of these games when I have people come over. So this is a whole lot of fun. Then of course these pretty awesome standees. This one is actually a recent addition. This is the Sega Sports NFL 2K1. This is a Dreamcast standee, and it's the countertop model. This I actually scored for just a couple dollars recently, and it really looks great with the Dreamcast kiosk and this Sega Saturn banner, which has some of my favorite games. Of course, we have Virtua Fighter 2, and we have Virtua Cop and Sega Rally Championship. So that is just a pretty awesome banner, as once I bring my Virtua Cop arcade machine down the basement, then it'll look really great right next to these kiosks and really look amazing alongside that Virtua Cop banner. So stay tuned for plenty more videos, as I am still growing the collection, adding more things, and displaying tons more in this pretty awesome basement and arcade room. So in some of my videos, I shared the process with you guys on moving everything into this new location, this new house, and of course all the nightmares that went along with it. So make sure you guys check out those videos and stay tuned for some more updates, as there is tons to do in this game room. There are quite a few kiosks that I have to actually add to and go ahead and complete. And there's another arcade that I would love to bring down here and put it in the arcade room. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that, as I'll also update along with some LED lights and just a little bit more decorations in the new room. None of the amiibos are down here just yet, as they are all still packed away fully in their original boxes, and it's almost an entire amiibo collection. So I'm still debating on if I should just hang them around the ceiling, kind of around the top part of the walls, and make a cool little display. So if there's anything that you guys recommend, go ahead and drop a comment below. And if there's anything that you would love to see close up, whether it be a particular console, a full game set, or any other items that you see in my collection, just let me know below, and I'll try and get a video for you guys, as there's just so much in here to see. whether it be standees, displays, neon signs, arcade machines, kiosks, video games, consoles, handhelds, and just anything else related to video games. So of course, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Go ahead and check out my other videos and stay tuned for more.